What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. So a lot of times we're buying gear or we're buying guns or different things. We're trying to buy things that work for multiple different things, multiple different scenarios to get as much usage out of something as possible. Now, although that can be a very good thing, there's products out there that try to do too much or try to do things a certain way. It doesn't always work out that way. Now, the BlackHawk Omnivore holster is kind of one of those things. It does some things really, really well, and it does some other things not so well. And to be completely honest with you guys up front, a buddy of mine had this holster, and I was just looking for something that I could stick pretty much every gun that I had in and use during my videos. That's really the only time I use this holster. And I wanted to do that because the more and more I do stuff for camera rather than for my work, I kind of started finding some deficiencies in my shooting and what was going on because I was spending too much time just playing around, testing out parts and not really focusing on some skills and drills and things that we really should be doing more than just out there kind of having fun with friends. And for that reason, I really wanted to integrate more applicable use, like more consistent usage of how this product could be used as far as, something like off a gun belt or competition or for duty use or anything like that, more so than just, hey, here's a part, look at that. And I really want to continue that. And it seems to be that the audience kind of liked it. It was just more kind of usage. More people wanted to see that rather than just the part shooting in the gun going bang. Now that presented me with a problem because I can't afford a Safariland holster nor a Kydex holster to rig on a duty belt for every single setup that I own with the different lights and all that. So what I kind of compromised was the BlackHawk Omnivore holster, which will pretty much take I think it's like a couple hundred guns off of just the weapons light itself. Now the specific version that I got was for the Streamlight TLR1 or TLR1HL. And I went with that because it's a very common light, a lot of people own it, and that's actually what I use at work. But it makes it very, very easy to run pretty much every gun that I own, everything from a 1911, polymer 80s, Glock 21s, Glock 19s, Glock, anything with that light on it pretty much goes in there. I haven't run into a gun that hasn't. And like I said, there are some really positive things about this holsters depending on how you're using it. Now, it is not a bad looking holster at all. If you take a quick look at that thing, it's nice. It's got a good look to it. It's got some rubberized coating around there. And this is your activation lever right there. And when you really think about the design, they really did take a cue from Safariland and the ALS holster and kind of how it locks in the slide. And this one kind of locks in the same thing, but it locks in the same way onto the weapons light instead. But like I said, this thing eats a lot of guns. Like here's a polymer 80, which nobody's gonna make a duty holster for probably ever. And it's got a compensator on it. So this is the compact version and locks right in there. Little bit of play, but that's kind of one of the negatives there is about this holster. But if I take this light off, you can get pretty much anything else in there, even if it has suppressor height sights like that gun right there. So here's a new Gen 5 45 MOS. So the Glock 45 MOS version. This is actually going to be my new duty gun. So even this with the optic on it, and I don't have my suppressor height sights in yet, you screw that light on there and that holster eats it and you're good to go for some training or something like that. So like I said, depending on what you're planning to use this holster for, it may be good. Now let's get into some of those positives here. The positives, this thing has eaten every gun I've thrown at it. We've had STIs in here, 1911s in here, Kimbers, Colts, Springfield, XDs, M&Ps, polymer 80s, full size, compact, Glock 34, Glock 19, Glock 17, Glock 20, Glock 22, everything. We jammed a whole bunch of guns in here, which is awesome. My CZs, my P10F, because that gives me the opportunity to really train the way that I need to and the way that we all should if we're carrying guns out there, depending on how you carry it. But that is a huge positive because I just don't have the funds, nor does everybody make duty holsters, locking mechanism holsters for everything that I do own. So huge positive for BlackHawk there. Now let's talk about the overall construction, guys. And we will check this thing out up close too, but I just want to get these things out of the way quickly because I know some people kind of taper off about that halfway point through videos. Well, according to my analytics anyways. So the overall construction is not bad. I think it's some form of injection molded plastic or something going on here. Not bad at all. It scuffs up fairly decently easy, just like any other holster would, depending on what you're dragging it through. The rubberized coating, I could have done without it. Doesn't make a difference to me. I did jam a QLS fork on here. Drilled my own holes into the QLS fork itself, not the holster, and then mounted it because I want to be able to swap this from belt to belt to belt. The locking mechanism has been pretty solid. It does come with different lengths of activator buttons on there, which is pretty cool. Suppressor height, size fit, optics fit, that light fits. A lot of guns will fit in here. Even you saw that one with the compensator. Haven't had any problems with the overall technical build quality of it. So in that aspect, pretty cool. Now let's talk about the negative, and it comes to the retention that the holster actually has, and I'll show you this more up close. So there's just a little knob in here, a little button, just like on the ALS system from Safariland. It just locks into the edge of the weapon light, and I'll kind of show you where it locks in up close. Now, I know a lot of guys tried these and wanted to use them for duty, and pretty much every agency or department I know around me, I talked to some guys in the military, these are barred. You cannot use these because they're too easy to defeat. Basically, if somebody gets a hand on it, they can twist it to the point and they can pull that weapon out fairly easily with a good amount of strength. Not to say you couldn't do that with Safariland. I've done a lot of ground fighting with guys wearing Safariland holsters, and I've only managed to get that gun out a couple times. It was because the holster was completely worn. I know a lot of guys have defeated these, and that's probably why a lot of agencies aren't allowing them to be carried. So that's a huge negative. It is retention, but how good is that active retention? And another negative on here is they give you these kind of like filler adapter plates that I'll show you, and they kind of just click in right back here in these holes, and I'll show them to you up close. But it really chintzy, really chingy, and I wouldn't put it on there. It's just screaming to get jammed in there or something. And it works without it, but just really weird that those are there. It just doesn't seem like the best design. So another positive would be the price. I think this was like 40 some bucks as compared to an ALS Safariland holster, which is 140 or something. So the cost is way down. It's just one of those things where, what's your life worth, guys? If you get in a fight hand to hand, you get in a ground fight or something, $40, $140, my life's worth more than 100 bucks to me. So let's go ahead, we'll get into this thing, we'll check it out up close. I'll jam a couple different guns in there to show you guys up close. Then I'll kind of show you some of the positives and deficiencies of this holster. Then we'll wrap it up and I'll give you my overall opinion, which I kind of think you know where I'm going with it at this point. So let's do some talking about this BlackHawk Omnivore and see if it is one holster to rule them all. Forgive me for the Lord of the Rings reference, guys. So as you can see here, I've got my Kimber Tactical Entry 2 in here with that Streamlight TLR1 HL. As you can see, locks in there, is secure. We'll just go ahead and do a couple of these guns here so you guys can get a really good idea that all these are gonna fit in here. So like I showed already, here's that Polymer 80 with a compensator on it and suppressor height sights. Goes right in there, it locks on that light. You can see there's plenty of valley in there. And just so you can get an idea up close as well, we'll check out that Glock 45 MOS, my new duty rig, and we will see that optic fits in there, locks in. Plenty of room even for guns that have an optic mounted a little bit further forward. Actually, there's a ton of room there if you guys didn't see that. So, and then we'll do that Glock 21-2 and kind of show you guys that even the big stuff fits in there. You know, for you guys that are carrying that big stick out there and need something to jam it in, this might be a holster for you. So you can see fits in there, plenty of room. A little bit of wiggle on all these holsters. The reason for that is because they've left it so big, because they want it to fit all of these guns. So we'll throw all that stuff aside and we'll just leave my Tactical Entry 2 here so you guys can keep staring at it because it's one of my favorite guns. So The Omnivore, guys. Now, like I said up front, there's some really good stuff about this and there's some not so good stuff. Not a huge fan of that little rubberized coating on the outside. My buddy's galled it up pretty bad on his. Mine just hasn't been in and out of a car as much, getting hung up on seat belts and stuff. You do get a couple of different extended controls right there for the actual locking mechanism. And I'll bring the spare parts in a minute. I just want to get the main focus, the holster, out of the way. So I did rig my own QLS fork in here because I want to be able to swap this on different belts that I'm using at the time, because that's why I bought it, so I could use this for all my guns. So if we look, I'll give you some light down in here, guys. You can see right there, you can see the mechanism going in and out just like that. So that is the mechanism that actually catches on the light. So you can see down in here, it is on the holster's left side because I am a righty. And what it does is it actually captures this edge of the light right there as you holster, and it locks it in just like that until you depress that retention button. So it's kind of catching right in this area right there. Now, not the best place, I guess, for retention because you can see pretty dang short on that area to grab. I'm probably not going to be able to get you guys a good view down in there. I'm trying, but you can just barely see down in there. Let me try here. This isn't working, guys. Well, I tried. You can just barely see down in there where it's locking. It's really hard to get the camera to focus down that far in. But I'll show you guys again up close here. That is your mechanism moving right there. So there's enough of it there to grab, but it is fairly defeatable. If you get your finger on it like this, if you twist at a certain angle when that gun is in the holster, you can actually cause it to kind of go just like that and lock back in. And this holster's got pretty good use. You can see some pretty good scratching going on there already, and that's from just using, you know, different metal guns in there and everything, because it does eat a ton of guns, guys. So that's pretty dang cool. So what else do we get with this? There's a package that this comes with. It has all kinds of little doodads in here, and I'll just dump it out. Like I said, mine, I rigged up with a QLS fork because I wanted to put it on different belts. And then here's a list of all the guns that they have tried this with. So you can see that is a massive chart of guns that this thing will fit. So that is a definite positive for the guys over at BlackHawk. Okay, you've got some different instructions here. That's the other spacer for the thumb activation right there. You have that you have the loop style connector for your belt, and then you have the actual belt run through right there to put on the holster. Now, these spacers right here lock in the front of this holster like this. I'll just kind of put one in here and show it to you. Oop, got that upside down. Sorry, guys. So they lock in here like this, and that kind of gives the holster or the gun that's in there, it gives a little bit more rigidity in the holster. The problem is, I mean, drawing and taking guns in and out, that thing just flopped out the first couple rounds of active drills that I was doing. So not the best design on there. They're basically just little chingy dingy kind of spacers to allow you some more tightness on that gun as it's in there, because you could see how all those guns had a little bit of play. So that's what you get in the holster. There are some additional parts in here as far as the little pieces in here go, because you can take this thing all the way apart in there and pretty much replace almost everything in there yourself. And the instructions are on there, so pretty simple setup here. I'll go ahead and put most of this stuff off to the side for now, guys. A couple different belt loop options, like I said, that's pretty cool. So overall, guys, it's just one of those things where you kind of got to determine, is this going to suit what you are doing with it? Training purposes, even competition purposes. If you're running something with retention and competition, outstanding. I really think it stands out there because it takes every gun, and holsters get expensive. So now that you guys have had a good look at this,
If you want to put a QLS fork on it, guys, really simple. Just measure holes and kind of drill them to the side like I did right there. This thing is on there solid, it's not moving. Drill the fork. Guys, don't try to drill through the back of the holster. Drill the actual QLS fork if you decide to do that. Hope you guys enjoyed this. We'll go ahead and get back under the chair and we will finish this up on the BlackHawk Omnivore holster.
You have to make your own decisions, everybody. $40 holster, $140, $160, whatever you're gonna pay for your Safariland holster. Now, do I like this thing? Absolutely. What do I like it for? Training only. You know, it's relatively similar of an engagement to my Safariland ALS holsters. It took me a couple of draws to get used to it, but the fact that I can now test all the products that I do for the channel, play with some friends' guns and things that they have on there, and still have an active retention holster that gives me, you know, a relatively very similar draw stroke and activation mechanism here. That's a huge plus for me, and that's something that I think a lot of guys that carry a gun for a living would probably be interested in. So yeah, I would buy it again, but it would have to be for a training thing only. I wouldn't suggest carrying this for even security guys, just because if you get in that fight, it's just too easy to defeat. So like I said, there are positives there, there are negatives there. I mean, if you had no more money than you could spend on this thing, I guess maybe, but you know, guys, it's one of those things, like I said, what's your life worth? And to me, my life is worth a hell of a lot more than $100. So I would save and get that retention holster. Do I think potentially they could make this into something better? Yeah, I mean, I'd hope. I would love to see a holster out there that has a really good active retention that would let me use, you know, 20, 30, 40, 50. I think there's over 100 guns on their list that this thing will fit. That's pretty dang awesome. Just little deficiencies here, like, you know, the gun comes out if a bad guy really cranks on it, more so than other active retention holsters that I've seen. So it's all up to you guys. I really hope you enjoyed this and learning about this. There's a purpose for it, guys, but that decision is going to be up to you. If you guys like the video, go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe to that channel, guys. It's growing pretty good, and I appreciate that for all of you guys. There'll be some links down below. Since it's 2A stuff, you probably have to check that first link in the description. It's going to fire you off to a page where all of those links are listed for you to check out. Get out there, stay safe, stay ready, and you guys have some fun on the range.